Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play the entirety of this video and then I'll hit rewind, talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that were done right and or done wrong. Without further ado, here we go.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sheriff Wayne Ivey, the Brevard County Sheriff's Office, and I want to give everyone an update this evening on the deputy-involved shooting that took place on Monday, August 30th, when two of our deputies were ambushed by an extremely violent career criminal during a traffic stop in West Melbourne. The attack and ambush was perpetrated by a violent career criminal with a history of 40 charges for crimes including drug trafficking, aggravated assault while discharging a firearm, battery on a law enforcement officer, and attempted first-degree felony murder, as well as convictions for robbery with a firearm, failing to register as a career offender, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, resisting arrest with violence, possession of controlled substances, and various probation violations. Even worse and more disgusting is that this career criminal, whose name doesn't even deserve mentioning, was actually out on bond with active warrants for additional felony drug trafficking cases where he could attempt to kill our deputies, when he should have been safely locked behind bars where he couldn't victimize another citizen or innocent bystander. I'm sure that, like me, you're probably asking yourself right now why a thug with this kind of criminal history was ever given a bond where he could be out on our streets to harm someone else. That's a question I promised to find the answer to, but for now, I'm just extremely thankful that our deputies are safe and the suspect is no longer on this planet where he could put someone else's life in peril. As I stated earlier, this incident occurred when one of our deputies conducted a traffic stop in the unincorporated area of West Melbourne on a vehicle that was occupied by 3 adult subjects and a 2-month-old baby that was actually sitting in the back seat where the perpetrator of the ambush was seated. The entire traffic stop, ambush, and deputy-involved shooting was captured on 2 separate dash cameras. And as you will see in the video that I'm about to show you, the suspect was the initial aggressor as he concealed his weapon until exiting the vehicle and immediately firing upon our deputies with a pistol grip-styled, high-powered rifle in an attempt to take their lives and avoid arrest as he was wanted on various outstanding warrants. Now, I want to caution everyone that the video you're about to see is extremely violent, graphic, and also a perfect example of just how dangerous a job our deputies and law enforcement officers face across the country each and every day. I am first going to play the video for you in its entirety and in real time. Then I'm going to break the video down in slow motion while providing a step-by-step explanation of what was taking place and why the actions of our deputies saved their lives and the lives of others at the scene, including the 2-month-old baby in the back seat of the car that was directly in the line of fire when this extremely violent individual decided to try and kill our deputies. The video I'm about to show you was captured by the dash camera in the vehicle of Deputy Brian Potters, who was the second deputy to arrive on scene in an effort to assist Deputy Tyler Toman during the traffic stop. The segment of the video I'm going to show you tonight begins immediately prior to the time of the ambush and captures the entire incident that involved a total of 61 rounds being fired within a minute. As I said, the video is graphic in nature and not only captures video of the incident, but the audio of all involved as well. During the video, you will hear music playing in the background that is actually music playing on the stereo of Deputy Potter's car, captured by the internal microphone system of the car as the incident was taking place. Again, the entire ambush and response by our deputies takes place within a minute and sadly captures what our deputies and law enforcement officers from across the country potentially face every day of their lives.
What's that? In the car? All right, partner. He wants to talk to you out here. Is that all you're... Yeah. You got... I'll watch it for you. He's all right. I got babies. Oh, you got a dog too? Hell. I'll make sure they're all right. I got babies too, man. Huh? Okay. Shit! Shit! I'm hit!
I'm 1446, Red, 51 is anything.
Now, as you can see and hear from the video, this was an extremely violent ambush that both of our deputies and the occupants of the vehicle were extremely blessed to survive. This individual had absolutely no regard for human life and was focused on only one thing: killing our deputies to avoid arrest, as he knew he was facing several minimum mandatory prison sentences in his pending cases. As you can see, the subject not only fired numerous rounds at our deputies, but also, after his gun jam, used the butt of the rifle to violently and repeatedly strike Deputy Potters in the head, causing significant injuries and lacerations. Let there be no doubt, this individual got exactly what he deserved. And to those out there who might be foolish enough to ask why we shot him so many times, that answer is simple: because evil can never be dead enough. Now that you've had a chance to see the ambush and response by our deputies as it occurred in real time, I'm going to show you the incident as it unfolds in slow motion so that you can see exactly what took place and how our deputies responded to the threat. So the first thing we see is Deputy Toman talking with the female occupant of the vehicle, while a second occupant of the vehicle is seen leaning against the trunk of the car, where the perpetrator is actually seated in the back seat. I want to be very clear in stating that neither of these two occupants had anything to do with this ambush or criminal activity, and I'm extremely grateful that they were not injured and how they immediately returned to the scene as instructed by Deputy Toman. At an early point in the video, you observe Deputy Toman asking Deputy Potters to have the third subject exit the vehicle. Prior to this point, Deputy Potters has been very politely conversing with the subject and talking about the 2-month-old baby in the back seat and a dog that was also in the back seat as well. As Deputy Potters asked the subject to exit the vehicle, he is immediately and without warning ambushed with a small stock AR-15 styled rifle that is pointed and fired directly at him. Deputy Potters immediately attempts to avoid being shot by trying to create distance between himself and the shooter, who aggressively opens fire on him as he takes cover at the front of the vehicle. The subject now fires at Deputy Potters from the driver's side of the vehicle and appears to actually get hit himself, as you also hear Deputy Potters announce that he has been hit with gunfire. The subject then goes between the two vehicles, and additional shots can be heard being fired. Deputy Toman and Deputy Potters can now briefly be seen taking a position between Deputy Potters' patrol car and Deputy Toman's patrol unit, when the suspect emerges from behind Deputy Toman's patrol unit and violently strikes Deputy Potters in the head with the butt of the rifle. As the suspect repeatedly batters Deputy Potters in the head with the butt of the gun, the two of them fall to the ground, where the subject continues to strike Deputy Potters in the head with the gun. Deputy Toman at this point gains a tactical advantage on the target and fires multiple rounds, thus eliminating the threat and saving Deputy Potters' life. As a result of the ambush and repeated blows to the head by this violent thug, Deputy Potters sustained a gunshot wound to the lower leg, multiple head lacerations, tissue damage, a concussion, and fractures of the orbital bone and sinuses. Thankfully, Deputy Toman did not suffer any injuries during the incident, and the suspect was subsequently pronounced dead from gunshots sustained during the ambush and attack on our deputies. As you can clearly see from the video, both of our deputies were in a battle for their lives, as this disgusting and evil individual had a blatant disregard for their lives, the life of others at the scene, and even the life of the 2-month-old baby who was in the car. He repeatedly used for cover as he tried to kill both Deputy Potters and Deputy Toman. When I tell you that we are blessed that God was watching over our deputies and those present at the scene, I mean it from the bottom of my heart, and I could not be more proud of the actions of Deputy Potters and Deputy Toman. As I said earlier, this case is a perfect example of what is wrong with our criminal justice system. When a registered career criminal with 23 felony charges, 17 misdemeanor charges, multiple convictions for violent offenses, and 2 active and pending drug trafficking cases is out on our streets where he can attempt to kill our deputies and put others' lives at risk, something is wrong with our system. And it's time that we as a society of law-abiding citizens say, enough is enough. Folks, I can't speak for you, but I am personally sickened by the fact that this thug with such a violent criminal history was out of jail where he could almost kill 2 of our deputies. It's time that we as law-abiding citizens start demanding that violent criminals who can't obey the law are kept behind bars where they can't victimize anyone else. As I close tonight, on behalf of Deputy Toman, Deputy Potters and their families, and also our entire agency, I want to personally thank our community for the amazing support and love for our agency you have shown since this incident occurred last week. Your emails, personal messages, and phone calls of love and prayers mean more to us than you will ever know, and serve as a constant reminder of how blessed we are to serve in a community that loves us so much. Thank you.
All right. Drop this volume down. go back into the video. So I have to say that I'm a fan of this sheriff. I don't know anything about him, but after watching this video, I like his opinions, and I think he's probably a good sheriff, a good person to work for. Um, and I've noticed that Florida tends to have a lot of good elected officials, at least from what I can see in the news. Of course, I don't live in Florida. I only visit there, but you know, things I've seen in the news, I've seen a lot of good with politicians out of Florida, and aside from it being geographically a nice place to be, it's warm weather and you don't have a bunch of crappy winter days like we do up here. um, I think Florida's a pretty good place to live at, and if it weren't for other circumstances in my life, I think I would probably enjoy living down there, especially when you have people like this in charge of law enforcement down there, or at least one aspect of law enforcement. You got so many other elected officials out there who have their head up their ass and they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. But anyway, aside from that, um, these two deputies, the one on the right here, according to the Brevard, Brevard or Brevard, whatever you pronounce it, that sheriff's office, this guy was basically a deputy jailer um, at a county jail down there in Florida, which they're not called deputy jailers, I don't think. Um, they called him a corrections officer at a county jail. It was a Volusia County jail, I believe. This guy on the left is actually from Kentucky. Um, he was a deputy up in Lexington with Fayette County Sheriff's Office, and then he became a deputy down there in Florida. He's also a former Marine. No other information is provided on these two. That was the only thing that you can find on their sheriff's office website. Now, the reason for the stop is not disclosed. At least I haven't found anything that indicates why Thoman decided to stop this vehicle. He's obviously been out with this stop for at least a few minutes. He's already got the woman out and he's talking to her. One of the passengers is out of the vehicle and is standing right here. So it seems like, to me, it's been a few minutes since he made the initial stop on this vehicle. And so, obviously, making that initial stop, nothing major happened. Old dude in the back didn't decide to start guns a-blazing whenever the stop was made. He probably thought that if he laid low, he would get out and get to go, and no one would be none the wiser about who he is or anything like that. For whatever reason, they've stopped. This officer who's acting as primary, he wants this guy out of the vehicle to talk to him for some reason, either to corroborate, what story she's given or something. I don't know. I have no idea the context of what's going on, but he wants this guy in the back seat out of the vehicle so he can talk to him. Meanwhile, this officer up here has been talking to him and can see through the open window and have a visual on him. The suspect was able to keep his weapon concealed up until the point he opened the door and produced it. How he kept it concealed, I'm not sure. I don't know if it just happened to be just down in the floorboard and this deputy just couldn't see it very well from his angle. He wasn't looking too hard. If that's the case, then that's an issue that needs to be addressed. Him not noticing it if it was in such plain view like that, just in the floorboard. If he was concealing it, then I would suspect, if there's a baby in the back seat, maybe there was like a blanket or something back there, and that could explain how it was concealed. Or, they could have been some really messy people, and there could have been like a bunch of crap in the back seat, and it was just sort of hidden amongst all the crap and under something. But anyway, he kept it concealed long enough until the door opens, and then he produces it and starts the fight. This deputy starts to egress and move away, and then he falls down. So, one school of thought here is that whatever direction you want to go in, you need to face your hips in that direction. I'm going to back it up just a little bit. So when he takes off, his hips are pointed towards the vehicle and this other guy right here, but yet he is moving in a lateral movement here. And so if he had turned his hips more in the direction of where he's wanting to go, there would be a less likely chance of him falling. He would also then have his back to the bad guy who now has a gun. Just know that is a train of thought and or a school of thought, so to speak. And there is some merit to that. If you try to run sideways like this, you increase your chances of falling. If you try to run backwards, you do increase your chances of falling. You can't see where you're going, and your feet could hit some type of obstruction on the ground and fall down. But running sideways like this doesn't always work out the greatest. And so to increase your likelihood of not falling down, having your hips pointed towards the direction where you're wanting to go, that increases your chances of not falling. He falls and hits his vehicle. He's got his hand on his gun trying to get it out. And then he gets it out, and you see him point it upwards right about here. And I'll try and go back and try to get that freeze frame. Probably won't be able to. Yeah, it's... Yeah, it's hard to get the freeze frame just right, but he gets the gun out right in here and is pointing back at him. Now, we can't see very well where he's at during this, but right after falling and getting his gun out, he is in and around this area. You'll see him right there. You see his arm get up, and I'll go back 5 seconds again. Through here, through the window, you'll see his arm. He gets up. Now, from that point, I can only imagine that he is moving backwards towards the rear of the vehicle, trying to put as much material in between him and the suspect as possible. Meanwhile, the suspect is, of course, advancing to the vehicle here, and I think that during this time frame, this deputy loses visual on him. Because as soon as he comes around, he is aiming in this direction where the other guy who was leaned up against the trunk of the car, he ran off in this direction. And you actually see him shooting his gun. Back that up. So this guy just went through here, just went through there. Yet this deputy is aiming over here where the other guy ran off to, and watch his gun. He starts shooting over in this direction. So it's my guess that once this deputy started to back away from where he was and went towards the rear of the vehicle, he lost all visual on the bad guy. That's just a thought of mine. That's the only thing I could think of that would explain why he comes around the front of the vehicle and aims over in this direction where the other guy went and starts shooting. We'll back it up more. So this officer here, or deputy, whatever, he immediately turns and heads back this direction. Now, back it up. He does appear to turn and go behind this vehicle here. Watch it again.
Okay.
Now, where he's at and what he's doing during this time frame, I don't know. But for 15 seconds, he is out of camera view. Back this up. 5 more seconds. He goes around the vehicle, suspect does. Potters comes around, and like I said, I think that he picks up visual on this guy that's way over here and either assumes that's the guy who's been shooting at him, or he assumes that this guy is also involved in the gunfight. And then he just appears to come from this direction right here. So I don't know if he was actually behind this vehicle or not the whole time. And if he was, I don't know what the hell he was doing for the 15 seconds that he was out of camera view. Something causes him, as soon as he gets right here, he turns. So it's almost as if he catches on to the fact that this guy is coming up behind him before he ever does. And I don't know what it is that clues him into this. I don't know if he was getting shots out and had a visual on this guy during the gunfight and knew that he was circling around the vehicle. Because he does appear to have better awareness of where the target's at. This deputy right here is extremely lucky that the bad guy's weapon was not working. If his weapon was working, I firmly believe that probably at this point is when he is clearing the side of the vehicle and has a visual on him. If his weapon was still working, I firmly believe that he would have been able to put several rounds into his backside and kill this deputy. And then maybe even start to put rounds into him before he could turn around and do anything. Very, very lucky. Now, pay attention to him. Here in a moment, you're going to see him back up towards this away, and you're going to see the magazine from his pistol fall out. Watch right in here. You'll see the magazine fall. A little bit further back than what I indicated. All right, perfect freeze frame. Couldn't do that again if I tried. Um, so I don't know why his magazine is coming out of the gun. There's a possibility that he inadvertently just pressed it while having that two-handed grip. There's a possibility that he has an extended magazine release on his pistol and he more easily inadvertently hit it while holding a two-handed grip and it fell from the gun. I do know that there's been cases where people who have these extended magazine releases, their magazines do inadvertently get released more easily. And they can even be more easily inadvertently released when the gun is in the holster itself. And everyday activities, that may cause the gun to twist just a little bit or whatnot and press against the body of the holster. It can make that magazine come unlocked. And while they're in a seated position in the car or something like that, the magazine may stay within the gun itself because it's not positioned to where the mag can fall freely out, and so that a person could be riding around with a magazine unlocked and just kind of dangling inside the magazine well, and then when they go to draw the pistol, magazine falls out. Or if it's another design, then the magazine could even stay in there when the gun goes vertical, but as soon as that first round goes off, that magazine drops. I don't know it. I don't think that this was an intentional magazine release move. If it was, then it could be because he had some type of failure to feed, or something was going on. Either a type 1 malfunction where he pulled the trigger, click, nothing happened. It doesn't appear as though the slide is locked back and is in a double feed kind of scenario. We really no idea what's going on with this. But my first thoughts are there was an inadvertent pressing of the magazine release, and he did not intend for this to happen. That's my first thought. But that's just a speculation. I really have no clue what's going on here. But if that is the case, then I would suspect that there is a possibility that he had an extended magazine release on the gun and it just was too easy to inadvertently hit and make the magazine fall out. So I never encourage people to get extended magazine releases for the pistols for that purpose there. They can too easily cause the magazine to be inadvertently released from the gun. And you sure as shit don't want that in the middle of a gunfight. I'll back it up so you can see it again. So after that happens, he moves to around the vehicle. Now, presumably, he is making a full circle around the vehicle while doing a reload. And then he shows up here on the left and does work. All right. He fires to slide lock. At this point, with his magazine dropped out of the gun, he makes his move around the vehicle. He puts a new magazine in that gun. He's got a fully topped off mag. And and he fires the slide lock right there. What he should have done upon immediately firing the slide lock is reload. After you fight, assess, and scan, you need to top off. Instead, he chooses to talk on his radio. Yeah, at that point, he should have done a top off. When the gun is topped off, then you can start talking on the radio or on your phone, whatever. Once he gets his gun back in the fight, he then starts delivering verbal commands to this guy who ran over here. And I'll back it up a little bit. You can actually see this guy moving right over there where my cursor's at. I'll back it up again. He's actually coming back towards the scene on his own anyway. He's right over in there. Just look above the roof of the car. You'll see him coming back. It looks like maybe he has his hands up. Would hope that he has his hands up.
Now, as you can see and hear from
All right. We'll fast forward to the same video,
to
but
those out evil, inspired, so that you. So the first
there's
thing we
something
see
else
is
from the
Deputy
second
Coleman talking with the female occupant of the
part of
vehicle,
this.
while a
All right.
second.
So the first playing of this video, we didn't see this part. But this part I found interesting because he puts both his hands out.
Is seen leaning against the trunk of the car.
He's got him on the B pillar right there.
Seated in the back seat. I want to be very clear in stating that neither of these two occupants had.
So I think that, excuse me, I think that the bad guy was doing that as a way to feign compliance and act as camouflage. He's trying to paint himself as someone who's not a threat. He's trying not to draw any unwanted attention to himself because he knows that he's out on bond and whatever was going on, there's a possibility that, he could be going back to jail. And he's doing this and he's doing that. That's all we can see his actions thus far is he put his hands out there and to show, hey, I'm not a threat. And two reasons for doing this. A, like I said, he's trying to paint himself as, someone not to want to pay attention to. He's trying to crawl in a hole and be forgotten. Or B, he knows he's going to have to get talked to at some point and reveal his identity and whatnot. And so he could already be working it in his head that he's going to have to fight his way out of this. And if that's the case, then what he could have been doing there is, again, putting his hands on that pillar like that to show or make them think that he's not a threat. He's putting this camouflage on to be like he's just a regular dude who's not a threat whatsoever, to make them lower their guard so that he can have a higher chance of success at murdering them and then getting away. One of those two options is why he's doing that.
Anything to do with this ambush or criminal activity. And I'm extremely grateful that they were not injured.
And he has been super close to this vehicle the whole time. And as I said before, I don't know how he had his rifle concealed, but he was right there. So if it was out in plain view,
how they immediately
he should have
returned
seen
to
it.
the scene as instructed by Deputy Coleman. At an early point in the video, prior to this point, the baby in the back seat, the exit the vehicle, he is immediately and without warning ambushed.
All right. So AR pistols and AK pistols are very popular right now with the street people, I guess you could say. They're also known as choppas. If you the AK pistols, they'll call them Dracos, when they'll call them choppas. Even the AR pistols, they'll call those choppas too. Um, their popularity, in my opinion, is fueled by rap music and rap videos in particular. When you go back to the 90s and the early 2000s, you look at rap videos, and not just all rap videos, but the rap videos that glorify violence and whatnot. The weapons that you see in rap videos are mostly just regular pistols. And out of the generic broad stroke term of pistols, what you'll see in many videos is a Glock. And from there, with all these rap stars um, portraying the use of a Glock pistol, you then see people on the street wanting to imitate that. And if one of these street thugs found a Glock, that was kind of like a prized possession. They had a Glock. Of course, many of them, they just can't go out and afford to buy a Glock, so they steal them. And if they had a Glock, that was something that they're going to hold on to. And if they didn't have a Glock, then they had some other piece of shit gun. At some point within the rap culture, there was a shift from fixating on a Glock pistol to seeing AR pistols and AK pistols. Now, when you look at rap videos within the last few years, last 10 years, you see mostly a lot of people holding AK pistols and AR pistols. Those are more popular. And so, in return, what we see on the street is more people with AK pistols and AR pistols. Now, those things existed. They existed back in the 90s and early 2000s as well. But because people in the rap music industry weren't utilizing them in their videos, they're, talking more about Glocks, people on the streets, they didn't use these damn things. They just, if they found a Glock, that was their little prized possession. And that was what, they held on to. But now that the AR and AK pistols are popular in the rap videos, they're popular on the street, and that's the only reason why they're wanting them. They don't. These people, these thugs, they don't know shit about ballistics. They don't know that this this X inch barrel with this X weighted bullet or this style bullet can perform these X amount of ballistics at this X amount of distance, etc. They don't understand that shit. That's like talking a foreign language to them. They don't even know the difference in 223 and 5.56. They don't understand that some barrels, you know, are only rated for 223 and can't take, 5.56, or they don't understand these things. They really don't. They just see, one of their rap gods in a video holding one of these things, and they want it too. They don't understand or probably fully appreciate the fact that what they have is a rifle. And they don't fully understand that rifle cartridges outperform pistol cartridges. So they're not using these weapons because they're more effective than just a regular pistol. They're just using them because someone else that they admire is using it in a video. Rifle ammunition will very easily penetrate soft armor. The basic body armor that all police wear, rifle cartridge will penetrate it very easily. So this gun that this bad guy has, if he was to have gotten a round square in the middle of the chest of either of these officers, that rifle round would have gone through that first panel into their body and potentially still have the energy to make it through the back panel on their back. The officer could have had 2 panels to the front of soft armor, and that rifle would still easily go through 2 panels of a vest and still go into his body and kill him. Rifle cartridges they're just way better performers than pistol cartridges are. And with that being said, the popularity of these things increasing and the fact that they can defeat soft armor so easily, I predict that in the next 10 years, we are going to see a paradigm shift in how law enforcement uses body armor. I think that in the next 10 years, we're going to see less and less officers using just level 3A armor alone. Instead of them using just that, I foresee that we're going to see officers using level 3 armor in conjunction with rifle plates, that style of rifle plates, or we'll see officers starting to use poly plates inserted into their normal soft armor vests. Or it may even be possible, I don't really fully foresee this one, but it could just also be possible that for some agencies, they'll just use a plate carrier and use poly plates. Or we'll see companies like Safe Life Defense product called FRAS, Flexible Rifle Armor System. We'll start to see more things like that come out and be implemented more. So since, body armor came out, level 2, level 2A, level 3, level 3A, all the way from the 80s, the 90s until today, level 3A has pretty much been like the basic go-to armor for agencies all across the country and even the world. Your most common street criminals up until recent times, they carried pistols because pistols are a whole lot more convenient and comfortable to carry around. That's just like why we carry pistols instead of rifles. Pistols are more convenient and comfortable to carry on a daily basis, all day long, all week long, all month long. It's more comfortable, more convenient. Carrying a rifle around all the damn time is not comfortable and it's not convenient. So level 3A armor stops pretty much all handgun rounds and was a good go-to choice for protection because it protected against the most common threat. It would even protect against shotguns. Now, it does not protect against rifles at all. Rifle rounds will go straight through a level 3A vest with no problem whatsoever. Like warm knife through warm butter. Very easy to go through. But we don't see, in the past, we didn't see criminals getting rifles out in gunfights. It was always pistols. So that level 3 armor was always good. It was always acceptable because that was the most common threat to be encountered. Now we have been seeing AR pistols and AK pistols being utilized by street criminals. Those things will go straight through a vest, no problem. So how are officers going to protect themselves against that threat? They can either A, continue wearing those 3A vests and put rifle plates in them. And when it comes to rifle plates, you've got standalone rifle plates, meaning all you can wear is that plate and it will stop a rifle, no problem. Or there's in conjunction with plates, where the plate itself will not fully stop a rifle. It has to have the soft armor vest with it to be able to stop that rifle round fully. So that's an option right there. Is going forward is in the next 10 years, you can see officers wearing their soft armor vests like normal with either standalone plates inserted into them or the in conjunction with plates inserted into them. For these agencies who prefer the more uniformed look, which is what you see in this video, the uniform top with a concealed vest, those plates with rifle plates in them, rifle plates become very noticeable when you start using them. They're pretty thick. And so that's going to cause some, I guess you could say, image issues with some agencies, and some of them may be a little bit more reluctant to want to do that kind of method. For the agencies that have the outside vest carriers, there's going to be no issue with that. They're going to be able to put plates in them, and who cares if anyone can notice the outline of a vest? They're wearing an outer vest anyway. The issue with plates is the composition of them and the weight. There will be some agencies, in my opinion, that will try to save $1 or $2 and try to buy steel plates. And I'm going to feel sorry for those officers who work for those agencies if their administrators try to buy steel plates. Steel plates are extremely heavy. And when you wear those heavy plates for 8, 10, 12 hours out of the day, that's going to start taking a toll on them. There's going to be some back problems on top of already existed back problems with carrying all the crap that's already carried. Plus the fact that steel plates, when bullets hit them, the bullets fragment and go in all directions. And even though these companies that make these steel armor plates will paint them with basically a truck bed liner type of paint, plastic coating kind of deal, to catch those fragments, that coating can still separate, and those fragments can still go upwards and hit the officer in the throat. So although that rifle plate, that steel rifle plate, may stop that round from going through and going into their heart, it's not going to stop, it may not stop the bullet from fragmenting into a bunch of little pieces and going upwards and then cutting into their throat and severing a carotid artery. Next up from steel plates are ceramic plates. And of course, ceramic plates are better than steel from the mitigation of spall standpoint. But ceramic plates are still heavy. They might not be as heavy as a steel plate, but they're still heavy. And so that's still going to be the problem with back issues and whatnot, is You're going to have officers who wear these ceramic plates start to develop back problems or even aggravate current back problems that they already have from wearing all their equipment and whatnot for every day that they work. Poly plates are way lighter, and they are also very expensive. And so in the beginning of this paradigm shift that I expect to occur, your larger agencies will be able to afford the poly plates a little bit more easily than the smaller agencies. But eventually, the smaller agencies are going to they're going to have to get to the point where they go to the poly plates, and it's going to be difficult for some agencies to do that financially because, contrary to what people think, police don't have a big budget. They're already strapped for cash as it is. And so these agencies that already have it in their budget to buy soft armor vests, they've had that in their budget for decades, right? So they've been able to go decades and say, hey, we know that between this price range, each officer, this is what it's going to cost to give them soft armor. And then you add the cost of these poly plates, which are pretty expensive. Now that's going to throw a wrench into their budgeting. Now they're going to have to move funds around and whatnot to be able to get a good lightweight plate. Your larger agencies with larger budgets are going to be able to more easily do this. The smaller agencies are not. And some of the smaller agencies are going to struggle, in my opinion, to get these poly plates for their officers. And then there's just going to be some agencies that are so small that they just cannot afford to do it at all. And even currently, right now, there are agencies out there who can't even afford to buy soft armor for their officers. There's many officers out there who have to buy their own vests, on top of buying their own duty belt, their own gun. So there's just going to be some officers out there who are going to be totally fucked, irregardless, because their agency just can't afford anything. The other alternative to plates is there's a company called Safe Life Defense, and they have a vest called FRAS, and it's Flexible Rifle Armor System. It's a vest that looks and almost functions like a soft armor level 3A vest. You can wear it under your uniform shirt, but it's not made entirely of just fiber like Kevlar. It has ceramic tiles in there. So just like a large ceramic rifle plate is made, or the material of it, instead of it being one big plate, this vest has several small ceramic tiles inside of it. And the vest is able to be conformed around the person's chest area. Whereas a plate, without being able to provide a visual on the screen to you, for those that know, a plate can only cover, a certain area of your chest. It's like taking a large textbook from school. That's the best idea, or that's the best thing I can come up with as far as an analogy for someone who doesn't know what rifle plates is. Take a textbook from school, basic, like a math textbook, and that's a rifle plate. And you can, boom, stick that on your chest, cover your heart and lungs, and that's capable of stopping rifle rounds. Well, everything outside of that coverage isn't stopping anything. So that's the problem that would exist with soft armor vest with a rifle plate in there. That plate will stop the bullets, but the rest of that vest will not. Well, this FRAS vest from Safe Life Defense, the whole vest itself is made with the ceramic tiles in it, and from any direction it can stop rifle rounds. And so it's That vest makes me think of the early 2000s and a vest called dragon skin armor. It's kind of similar to that in a way. Um, and those are the only two vests that I'm aware of that are designed like that. I cannot recall any other companies out there that have a vest that is like a soft armor vest that can stop rifle rounds. So I would also foresee that other companies will start producing vests like that to meet this emerging threat of rifle cartridge pistols. Another thing that I foresee happening is gun control. That sucks because gun control does nothing but hurt law-abiding citizens. I foresee that with these emerging trends of bad guys using rifle cartridge pistols, that AR pistols and AK pistols will become illegal, either through new legislation that outright bans them, or legislation that changes the terminology of things and basically, quote unquote, closes that loophole for having a short barreled rifle. Because let's be honest, an AR pistol, I'm a gun guy, love guns, right? Pro gun, very pro Second Amendment. But let's be honest, an AR pistol is just a loophole for a fucking short barreled rifle. All right, that's it. That's all it is. Same for an AK pistol. It is a loophole for a short barreled rifle. And the idea that, an AK pistol or AR pistol is, a pistol just in the same that a Glock 17 is a pistol is a little asinine, in my opinion. I like that little loophole exists, but honestly, that's all it is. It's a legal loophole, and when these bad guys are using these things like that, all that's going to happen is that loophole is going to eventually go away. And as I said, that sucks because most of the gun control laws do is it hurts law-abiding citizens. Now, the sheriff at the very end, he talks about this criminal.
Perfect example of what is wrong with our criminal justice system. When a registered career criminal with 23 felony charges, 17 Deputy Toman. As I said earlier, this case is a perfect example of what is wrong with our criminal justice system. When a registered career criminal with 23 felony charges, 17 misdemeanor charges, multiple convictions for violent offenses, and 2 active and pending drug trafficking cases is out on our streets where he can attempt to kill our deputies and put others' lives at risk, something is wrong with our system. And it's time that we as a
Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. Our criminal justice system is fucked. I'll say it again. Our criminal justice system is fucked. Our police can only do so much. Our police, in most places, do a good job of catching the criminals. It's our court system that drops the ball and lets them out time after time, gives them chance after chance after chance after chance. Our court systems, in my opinion, are a clear and present danger to society. This person, this bad guy in this video, should never have been on the street after that type of lengthy criminal background. He should have never been given the option of having a bond. If he was going to have the option of having a bond, the bond should have been set extremely high. We give our criminals in this country so many chances. Now, I do believe in second chances, right? A second chance is a good thing. Some people can get their lives turned around on a second chance. But 23 chances. After the 10th chance, like obviously 10, 15 times what's going on is not fucking working, right? If this guy has gotten himself into 15 incidents of loosely the same related shit, then obviously there's a problem. This guy isn't taking the hint that what he's doing in life is wrong. When you take someone like that and they repeatedly do things that jeopardize the safety and security of our society, they are a clear and present danger to society. They are a menace to society. They should not be out in society. They should be locked away in Concrete City. But that's the way the courts work, and it is appalling. It is truly, truly appalling. Um, I, at a loss of words at the moment. Um, and it's not just, it's every state, it seems like. I mean, you'll see these violent offenders just everywhere. And the news doesn't always do a great job of, fully reporting on things. So you may hear, in such and such state, police um, uh, got into a gunfight with such and such, and that's it. That's all they leave it at. But if you try to do the research, a lot of times you'll find that the people they get in these gunfights with, like, these are bad people. I mean, bad, bad people. And they've been involved in the criminal justice system time after time after time. And that's just from what you can see from the adult part of the criminal justice system. You won't ever be able to find information about the juvenile side of that person because of those juvenile files are hidden. You won't ever find public records on that. So there's people that you can see that from the age of 18 until whatever time it is that, they got into that big violent gunfight with the police, they've been involved time after time after time with them. And if you were actually able to see their juvenile record, you would see that the same thing happened in their juvenile criminal career. They were involved multiple times as a young one and given chance after chance after chance after chance. So, in a lot of ways, I firmly believe the problems start from the juvenile side of things in the criminal justice system. But no one gets to know about that stuff because all the juvenile records are treated like they're some, national security secret, and you can't even release a damn name or anything. And so no one ever gets to see, person A as a juvenile being arrested for these things multiple times and given these chances, and all the chances given to them, they blow it away and keep doing stuff. They never get to see that stuff because it's never a public record. If the public, in my opinion, truly got to see what goes on in the juvenile stuff, they would not be very happy about what's going on. The adult stuff is all public record, but it's not put out on a silver platter, so to speak. So, although it is public information, you have to go do your own digging. And a lot of people just aren't that motivated to do the digging on their own. They'll just look, if a person ever, actually reads an entire news article, that's where they'll leave it at. A lot of people will just read the headlines or something like that, and never really read fully into the article But if they do read fully into the article, that's kind of where they leave it at. They'll read that article, they might read 2 of them, but they won't do a whole lot of research. And so if the news reporter themselves doesn't do the research and go in and say, hey, this person was arrested for yada, 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 and had this conviction, da, 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 then the general people who just read the news, they're just not going to know that unless they go dig that information themselves. And if they do, they're going to find that these criminals are, in fact, career criminals. Like they've been doing it for a long time. That's their lifestyle, and there's no changing them. I mean, after you've arrested a person 23 fucking times, do you think arrest number 24 is going to change them? No, it's not. They are set in their ways. There is no changing them. The only thing you can do at that point, after someone has been arrested 24 times for stupid shit, and when I say stupid shit, I don't just mean like, jaywalking or something like that. I mean, when I say stupid shit in this context, I'm talking like robbery, burglary, selling drugs, and not just selling some marijuana. I mean like selling some drugs. Someone's arrested over 20 something times for that. The only option that you need at that point is just lock them away. Just put them in a cage and lock them away. They have proven over 20 times that they cannot function in normal society. There is no place for them in normal society. Society has to be protected by them. They need to be locked away in a cage. That needs to be their new society to live in, is a correctional society. Because a free society is not the place for them. I feel like I've gotten on a bit of a rant with that. And that happens. But not much else to say about this video. As far as things done right, things done wrong. Really the biggest thing that popped out to me was after this officer fired the slide lock, he didn't do an immediate reload. That's really the only biggest negative thing I've got to say that I observed in the video. Other than that, I got nothing else. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.